In the year 2095, Earth had almost forgotten what real fire looked like. Technology had stopped wildfires. Forests were safe. Firefighters only trained. They didn't fight real fires anymore. But one night, something strange happened. Jake Carson sat in his fire truck, watching the dark forest near Zone 14. He was bored. No calls in weeks. Suddenly, a red light blinked on his screen. Unnatural heat detected. Coordinates, Sector 9B. Jake's eyes narrowed. Sector 9B, he whispered. That's supposed to be a cold zone. He put on his fire gear and drove deep into the forest. As he got closer, he saw something that made his heart race. Real fire. Big, wild, and angry. Flames danced between the trees like monsters. But something was off. The fire was too hot. Trees didn't just burn. They melted. Jake stepped out, scanning the area with his helmet cam. He called for backup, but the signal was dead. This shouldn't be happening, he said. How is this even possible? Suddenly, he heard something. A scream. Not human. It came from deep inside the fire. It sounded like pain. It sounded ancient. Jake hesitated. But then he tightened his gloves and stepped into the smoke. He followed the sound through burning branches and falling ash. His suit's heat alarm beeped like crazy. No human should survive here. But Jake kept moving. The scream came again, louder this time, and then he saw it. A massive shape, hidden in smoke, huge wings, sharp claws, scales like black glass, chained to a burning rock. A dragon. It was real, alive, and dying in the fire. Jake stood frozen. What are you? He whispered. The dragon lifted its head slowly. Its golden eyes locked onto his. It spoke, its voice deep and broken. Help me, before it comes back. Jake didn't ask questions. He ran to the chains. They were burning hot, glowing red. He used a tool from his belt, cutting one, then another. The dragon roared in pain, but didn't fight. Finally, the last chain snapped. Jake pulled back as the dragon collapsed, breathing heavily. Its wings twitched, its body steaming. You're free now, Jake said softly. You're safe. But the dragon shook its head. No, it said. You made a mistake. The fire wasn't trying to kill me. It was trying to keep me hidden. Jake stepped back, confused. What do you mean? Who was hiding you? The dragon's voice dropped to a whisper. The fire core. It's waking up. It burns worlds. And I'm the only one who can stop it. Jake's eyes widened. Before he could speak, the ground shook. A loud crack echoed through the trees. Flames shot higher into the sky. The dragon's body went limp. It passed out. Jake turned to call for help again. But this time, he wasn't alone. In the smoke, far behind him, he saw a figure. Tall, silent, watching. It wasn't a firefighter. It wasn't human. Jake's heart pounded. He grabbed the dragon's front leg and pulled it with all his strength toward the truck. But the figure didn't move. Just stared. Then, it stepped back and vanished into the fire. Jake finally reached his truck. He pressed the emergency evac button. A voice replied in his ear. Evac request denied. No fire detected in Zone 14. Jake looked back. The fire was gone. The forest behind him was cold, quiet, as if it had never burned. But the dragon in his truck was real, and something had just begun. Asterisk. It had been 3 days since Jake Carson saved the dragon, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw fire. Not just flames, but a world burning, cities melting, skies cracking, a deep voice whispering, "It has begun." Jake woke up inside an abandoned warehouse near the old fire station. The dragon Keleth, as he had called himself, lay weak and silent, hidden under thermal blankets and surrounded by cooling vents. Jake checked his vitals again. Still alive, still sleeping. "What are you?" Jake whispered, staring at the creature. "And what did I just get myself into?" Suddenly, the lights flickered. The room went cold. Keleth's eyes opened slowly. Golden, glowing. "You're still here," Keleth said, his voice deep, slow. Jake took a step forward. "I need answers." Keleth looked around. "This world still breathes. Good." Jake folded his arms. "Start talking. What is the fire core? Why were you hidden, and why me?" Keleth's eyes dimmed for a moment. Then he spoke slowly. "Long ago, before humans walked this earth, something came from the stars. A living fire, hungry, endless. It burned planet after planet. We called it the fire core." Jake frowned. "A creature?" "Not a creature," Keleth said. "A force. Like gravity, like death. It consumes life, until nothing remains but ash." Jake felt cold, despite the heat in the room. "Thousands of years ago, my kind fought it," Keleth continued. "We pushed it back, but it left seeds, fire seeds, on many worlds. Earth was one of them." Jake shook his head. "So why didn't it come before?" "Because I stayed behind," Keleth said, "to stop the seed from waking. But others feared me. They betrayed me, trapped me, buried me under your forests." Jake took a breath. "And now it's waking up." Keleth nodded. "You were not supposed to find me," he said. "But fate has chosen." Jake scoffed. "I'm a firefighter. I don't believe in fate." Keleth looked directly into his eyes. "Then believe in the fire inside you." Jake stared back. "What fire?" Suddenly Keleth reached out, placing a claw on Jake's chest. Jake's body froze. His vision blurred. The world around him vanished. He stood in a field of burning skies. Oceans of flame. He saw towers fall, people run, shadows laugh. And above it all, a shape in the sky. A sun that had eyes, and it looked at him. Jake gasped. Falling to his knees, the vision ended. He was back in the warehouse, sweating, breathing hard. Keleth pulled back his claw. "You saw it?" Jake whispered. "I saw the end." Keleth nodded. "That is what waits. Unless we stop it." Jake stood up. "You said we? What can I do? I'm just a man." Keleth's wings twitched. "Not just a man. You touched the flame and lived. That means you are one of the old blood." Jake blinked. "What old blood?" Keleth closed his eyes. "Your ancestors once stood beside dragons. Together, they protected Earth. But those times are gone. Only fragments remain. In you." Jake looked down at his hands. He remembered the fire that didn't burn him, the vision, the heat inside him. It was real. "Then teach me," Jake said. "Tell me how to stop the fire core." Before Keleth could speak, a red light flashed on the wall. Movement detected. Jake checked the camera screen. Black vans, military grade. No logos. "They found us," he said. Keleth's eyes narrowed. "They do not come to help." Jake grabbed his fire axe and pulled a cover over Keleth. The doors burst open. Men in dark suits rushed in. "Stand down," one shouted. "You are in possession of an unauthorized bioweapon." Jake stepped between them and the dragon. "He's not a weapon," Jake said. "He's the only chance we've got." A soldier raised his rifle. Keleth growled softly. Suddenly, the lights exploded. The ground trembled, and from above a voice, cold and inhuman, "Surrender the dragon, or burn with him." The room filled with heat. Jake turned to Keleth. "That's not from your side, is it?" Keleth growled. "No, it's here." Space was silent, but in that silence, something was moving. Not a ship, not a meteor, something alive. Something burning. A massive object glowed deep red, floating between planets like a dying sun. It was the fire core, a living storm of flame and destruction. And now, it was heading for Earth. Back on Earth to 3 hours earlier, Jake stood in the center of the ruined warehouse, breathing hard. The air was thick with smoke and dust. The government team had been wiped out, burned by something not of this world that only Jake and Keleth had survived. What was that voice? Jake asked, coughing. Keleth stood tall now, stronger, his eyes glowing brighter. That was a fragment of the fire core. It knows I'm free. Jake looked around at the ash-covered floor. It burned them without touching them, like thinking fire. Keleth nodded. Yes, and soon it will send more. Jake's cum buzzed. He looked down. Satellite feed incoming. A scientist's voice came through. Carson, are you there? This is Dr. Emilia Rhine, Astrophysics Division. We detected a heat mass the size of the moon approaching from deep space, and it's alive. Jake exchanged a look with Keleth. Then we don't have much time, the dragon said. Later that night, hidden in the desert, Jake and Keleth arrived at an underground tech bunker run by Dr. Emilia. She had been tracking the fire core for years. Nobody believed her. Until now. Keleth stood in the center of a lab filled with holograms, maps, and flame patterns. Dr. Emilia pointed at a red spiral on the screen. This is not fire, it's a signal, a living pattern. We think it's calling something. Keleth nodded. The fire core speaks through heat. It spreads by waking the flame in weak minds. Jake frowned. What does that mean? Emilia zoomed in. It means anyone near that pattern too long starts to burn from the inside. Their thoughts catch fire. They turn into walking flames. Keleth closed his eyes. The fire burn. Jake's eyes narrowed. So it's already started? Emilia nodded slowly. There are reports from 4 countries. People going mad. Fires starting without fuel. Buildings melting. Keleth turned to Jake. We must act now. The fire core is testing your world's limits. Jake looked down at his hands. Since the last attack, they hadn't burned. Even when he walked through flame, he didn't feel pain. You said I have something inside me, something old. Keleth nodded. You are Flameburn, a protector. You have the spark, but it must be awakened. Jake raised an eyebrow. How? Keleth's tail hit a nearby button. The lab shifted. A platform opened, revealing an ancient-looking suit of armor, part metal, part scale, pulsing with low red energy. By bonding with the Flameguard suit, forged by Dragonfire. Jake stepped forward. The suit moved, reacting to his presence. Keleth spoke softly. This armor will protect you and test you. But once you wear it, there's no turning back. Jake placed a hand on the chest plate. The suit lit up. A flame symbol appeared on his chest. It wrapped around him, fitting perfectly. He gasped as memories not his own rushed into his mind. Dragons flying. Humans beside them. Whole cities of fire and light. He stumbled back, overwhelmed. Keleth caught him. Easy, the past is waking. Up inside you. Jake clenched his fists. He felt the fire. But it didn't burn. It waited. Let's stop this thing, he said. Just then, the screens all went black. A message appeared. I see you, Fireborn. Earth is mine now. A burst of flame shot from the monitors. Jake shielded Emilia. Keleth growled. The fire core is watching. It knows your face now. Jake stood tall, his voice calm. Good, let it come. We'll be ready. 20 years ago. A house fire. A 5-year-old boy stood outside a burning home. Everyone screamed, but the fire didn't touch him. He just stared at the flames, calm, eyes glowing faintly orange. Then the fire pulled away from him, like it was alive and afraid. Present day. Underground bunker. Jake sat in silence, sweat on his forehead, his body still glowing with heat. From the dragon-forged armor, the memories wouldn't stop. Flashbacks, fire, screams, shadows. Why am I seeing these things? He asked. Keleth studied him carefully. Because your blood remembers. Jake looked up. What do you mean? Keleth walked slowly to an old chamber hidden behind steel doors. With a fiery breath, he opened it. Inside was a wall of ancient symbols glowing red. "Your family line is older than you know," Keleth said. "Long ago, your ancestors were bonded with my kind, firebound." Jake frowned. "I never knew my parents." Keleth nodded. "They knew the danger. They hid you. To protect you, and to protect the flame inside you." Jake stepped closer to the wall. A glowing shape caught his eye, a carving of a man, standing beside a dragon, wearing the same armor he wore now. "That's me," he whispered. Keleth lowered his head. "It was your ancestor, but your DNA is the same. You carry the last spark of the firebound." Suddenly, alarms blared. Amelia ran in, breathless. "We have a problem." She pulled up a satellite image, a city near the equator fully on fire. But the flames were not natural. They burned in patterns like symbols, spreading outward. "It's not just fire," she said. "It's communication." Keleth growled. "The fire core is awakening its army." Jake tightened his fists. "We need to stop it." Amelia hesitated. "There's more. Someone survived the burn zone. A girl, about 10 years old. She walked through the fire, unharmed." Jake's eyes widened. "Like me?" Keleth looked alarmed. "No, not like you, not human at all. A hidden lab, 400 miles away. The girl sat inside a glass chamber, silent. Eyes were pitch black. No whites, no irises. Her skin glowed under thermal light. When scientists spoke to her, she only repeated one sentence: 'The fire core speaks through me.' And then she smiled, back at the bunker Jake paced. "I need to find her. If she's linked to the fire core, maybe she can tell us what it wants." Keleth growled low. "Be careful. The fire core does not lie. It tempts." Jake nodded. "Then I won't go alone." Keleth looked surprised. "You want me to come?" Jake smirked. "You're not staying here guarding fossils." Keleth grinned, smoke curling from his nostrils. "Then we fly." That night, in the sky, Jake rode on Keleth's back, flying through dark clouds above the ocean. Lightning cracked behind them. Jake looked down at the world below. "So much to protect, and I never knew I was part of it." Keleth spoke through the wind. "You are more than part of it, Jake. You are the key. Your DNA, your flame. It's the lock the fire core wants to break." Jake tightened his grip. "Then let's make sure it never does." Suddenly Keleth stopped mid-air. Far ahead, the horizon glowed red. Not sunrise. A firestorm, and inside it, something massive was moving. Before there was fire, there was silence. A silence so deep, even stars feared to shine. Then came the first spark. That spark became a storm. That storm became a god, and that god was locked away beneath the ice. Until now. Arctic Circle. Classified research base Omega-9. White snow blew over endless ice. From above, the base looked empty. But deep beneath, a door opened with a hiss. Inside, soldiers dragged something heavy across the floor. It left a trail of steam and black blood. It was another dragon. Dead. Burned from the inside. A man in a silver coat walked beside the body, face hidden behind a glowing mask. "Only one remains alive now," he said. He turned to a dark chamber with heat shields around it. "The red one. The loud one. The traitor." Inside the chamber, a faint light pulsed. Something was breathing. Elsewhere, flying over Iceland, Keleth flew fast over frozen cliffs, with Jake gripping tightly on his back. Snow melted before them as Keleth's wings beat like thunder. Jake looked ahead. "Are you sure this is where they took her?" Keleth nodded. "Yes, I can feel her fire. But this place, it's ancient, older than you know." Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" Keleth didn't answer. Instead, he slowed down, hovering over a broken glacier. Jake looked down. There was a symbol carved into the ice, huge, circular. glowing faintly orange. Jake whispered, "I've seen that in my visions." Keleth nodded. "It's the mark of the flame gate, a prison, and a weapon." Suddenly missiles launched from the cliffs below. Keleth spun midair, dodging them with a roar. "We've been spotted!" Jake shouted. From the snow, black armored mechs rose up, glowing red inside, as if powered by fire. Keleth roared, diving. Jake activated his armor. Flames raced across his arms as he leapt from Keleth's back and landed on one of the mechs, punching straight through its chest. "They're not machines," he gasped. "They're alive, twisted by fire." Keleth fought beside him, claw and flame ripping through the corrupted soldiers. But there were too many. Suddenly, a shockwave of heat knocked them back. The ice cracked, and from beneath the glacier, something rose, a fortress made of black stone and fire. Floating, breathing. The fortress of flame. Jake stared in shock. "That's not a building." Keleth finished his sentence. "It's a living weapon, the Fire Core's first servant." Inside the fortress, the little girl sat calmly on a throne of ash, her black eyes glowing. Around her, soldiers knelt, half human, half flame. She turned to the man in the silver coat. "He is coming," she said. "Let him," the man replied. "He'll die here, like the others," she smiled. "No, he will choose fire or ash." Back outside, Jake stood at the edge of a burning canyon, face lit by the glow of the fortress. "That girl, she's not possessed," he said. Keleth nodded grimly. "She is the flame's voice." Jake clenched his fists. "Then I need to speak to her." Keleth growled. "There's no speaking to fire, Jake, only surviving it." Jake turned to his friend. "Then let's survive together." They stepped forward, into the gates of the fortress. Into the heart of flame, asterisk, there's a place behind fire. Not heaven, not hell, a world made of heat, memory, and pain. It is not seen with eyes. It is felt in the bones. That place is called the Flame Realm, and Jake had just entered it. Moments earlier, the fortress gate. Jake and Keleth stepped through the fire-lit door of the fortress. But they didn't find a hallway. They didn't find walls. They fell, not like falling from the sky, more like being pulled inward, through light, through time, through pain. Now, the Flame Realm. Jake hit the ground hard. He stood up fast, his armor smoking. But the world around him wasn't real. There was no sky. Only flame. Mountains floated. Rivers of lava flowed upwards. Trees were on fire but didn't burn. And in the distance, something laughed. Keleth landed beside him. "We're not in your world anymore," Keleth said quietly. Jake looked around. "What is this place?" Keleth's voice was low and sad. "This is where the Fire Core sleeps and feeds." They walked forward. The ground cracked beneath every step, whispering memories into Jake's mind. "Do you remember your mother's voice? Do you remember the night she left you? Do you know what she gave up to keep you hidden?" Jake clutched his head. "These voices, they're inside me." Keleth nodded. "This realm burns truth into the soul. It wants to break you." Suddenly, figures formed from smoke, humanoid shapes, glowing eyes, silent mouths. Keleth hissed. "Fire wraiths, they feed on doubt." The wraiths surrounded them, whispering, "You are weak. You are fake. You will fail." Jake dropped to one knee. Flames began crawling up his arm. "I can't." Keleth roared and slammed his tail down, scattering the wraiths. "You can. You are more than fire, Jake. You are the will to fight it." Jake stood slowly. He closed his eyes, focused. The armor responded, glowing brighter. The flames on his arm turned blue and vanished. The wraith screamed and burned away. Jake opened his eyes, calm, strong. "They're not real," he said. "But I am." Deeper in the realm, the core's heart, they reached a giant cavern. lit by a massive orb of fire floating in the air like a burning sun. Chains of molten metal stretched from the orb into the rock walls. Keleth's eyes narrowed. The fire core is still sleeping, but not for long. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from the shadows. It was the girl, but now she floated above the ground. Her skin glowed like lava. Her eyes blazed like stars. "Welcome, Firebard," she said. "You've come far, just to lose." Jake stepped forward. "You're just a child. You don't have to be this." She tilted her head. "I was chosen, like you, but I said yes." "I didn't," Jake replied. "You will." Behind her, the man in the silver mask appeared. "The fire core doesn't destroy," he said. "It cleanses. It makes things pure." Keleth stepped between them. "Enough talk." The girl raised her hand, and the ground split open beneath Jake and Keleth, swallowing them into the fire. Falling again, but this time Jake saw everything. He saw Earth already cracking. He saw fire leaking from volcanoes, skies turning orange. He saw Keleth's kind. Long ago dragons dying, one by one, trying to hold the fire back. And he saw himself, standing in the center of the earth. Alone. Suddenly, silence. Jake woke up in a glowing chamber. Lava flowed like water around him. Keleth was beside him, barely breathing. Jake shook him. "Stay with me." Keleth opened one eye. "This is the last gate. Beyond it lies the core itself." Jake looked up. Ahead was a massive fire door, sealed with ancient symbols. Jake placed his hand on it. The flames moved aside, and the door began to open. The sky was fire, not a sunset, not an explosion, a warning. The world was burning slowly, from the inside out. Earth, the last stand. Jake stood at the edge of a vast crater. The ground trembled beneath his feet. Smoke darkened the sky. The fire core hovered above, a giant sphere of molten flame, pulsing like a beating heart. Keleth's wings stretched wide. His scales shimmered with fierce light. "This is it," Keleth said softly. "The moment I feared. And you prepared." "For." Jake nodded. His hands glowed with power. The flame guard armor hummed with energy. "We can stop this," Jake said. "Together." Inside the fire core, they flew into the fiery heart of the core. The heat was unbearable. The air burned their lungs. But they pressed on. Inside, the core wasn't just fire, it was alive. Thoughts, memories, pain all twisted into flame. The fire core spoke deep, terrible, like 1,000 voices. "Why fight the inevitable? I bring change. I bring new life from ashes." Keleth growled. "You bring death." "No," the core whispered. "I bring rebirth." The battle flames clashed. Jake's power surged. He summoned all the fire inside. Him, the fire of his ancestors, the fire of the dragons. Keleth breathed blasts of pure flame. The core screamed in fury. The world shook, but Jake's strength began to fade. Keleth faltered. The choice. Keleth looked at Jake with tired eyes. "You must finish this. Alone." Jake stared back. "No," he said. "We are bound. You saved me. I will save us all." Keleth smiled faintly. "Then become the flame-bound guardian." The merge. Jake stepped forward. The core reached out. With burning tendrils, Jake touched the fiery heart. Pain exploded through his body, but instead of dying, he absorbed the core's fire. His armor glowed brighter than the sun. His eyes burned with new power. He was no longer just human. He was the fire. The aftermath. The fire core shrank. Its flames cooled. Earth's skies cleared. Keleth rested on a nearby peak. "You did it," he said. "You saved the world." Jake looked to the horizon. "No," he said. "We saved the future." The wind carried a whisper. "You are the flame that guards tomorrow." Jake smiled, feeling the fire inside. Him not as a weapon, but as a promise.